and I wanted to show it to you because this is my favorite spot to cuddle up with a great book. I hope that you have found a good spot in our classroom that you can get away and just enjoy your great books in your book bucket from our classroom library. If you haven't found one in our classroom or even at your house, I suggest that you do, because there's nothing better than getting into a new book. In fact, it's here in my blue room that I read this book that I thought I would share with you. It's called Ivy and Bean, and it's by Annie Barrows and Sophie Blackall. Have you ever seen someone and you thought to yourself, oh my, that is the last person on earth that I would want to be friends with? I would never be friends with him. In fact, I would never, ever want to hang out with him. Well, that was the case in this book. Ivy is a new girl on a street. It's the street that Bean lives on. And Bean thought that Ivy was the most boring person in the world. Bean's mom said, why don't you play with Ivy? She's 7, just like you, and she seems like such a nice girl. Well, for Bean, that was the problem. She was too nice. You see, Bean is really active. She likes to run and play. She can't sit still. She's dirty all the time, and her hair is always crazy. While Ivy, she likes to sit nicely in her pretty clean clothes and enjoy a good book. Well, Ivy and Bean finally meet one day. Bean is playing a trick on her sister. You see, Bean likes to really drive her sister Nancy crazy. So one day she's hiding in a bush, playing a trick on her, and something goes wrong. Oh, you're in trouble now, Bernice Blue, yelled Nancy. I'm going to tell Mom. Bernice was Bean's real name. People used it only when they were yelling at her. Bean couldn't help it. She just had to stick out her tongue and say, then she just had to turn around and wiggle her behind at Nancy. That's it, Nancy yelled. I'm getting Mom. And she stormed into the house. For a minute, Bean felt happy. She loved making Nancy mad. But when Nancy was gone, Bean began to worry. Mom hated it when she did more than one bad thing at a time. Bean counted, taking the money, lying about her ankle, leaving the yard without asking, and wiggling her behind at Nancy. 4 things. 5 if you counted pretending to be a ghost in the bush. Bean was going to be in big trouble. How big? No dessert for sure. No videos for a week maybe. But it could be even worse. Just then, Bean noticed that Miss Perfect, Nice Ivy was watching her the whole time. Bean thought that Ivy would think that she was a nasty girl. But to her surprise, she yelled something that took Bean by surprise. She told her, hide! Maybe this Ivy wasn't such a boring gal after all. Follow me. Ivy came down the stairs and slipped behind a bush growing against her house. Bean followed her and crouched down under the wide leaves. Now get up. This is just the beginning, said Ivy. I'm going to take you to a secret spot. This isn't it? Asked Bean. The bush looked pretty good to her. No, this is just the passageway. Ivy pressed her back against the house and edged along. Bean edged along too, the wall scraping her back. They turned a corner and edged some more. Ivy's house was big. Halt, said Ivy. Bean halted. Now, said Ivy, close your eyes and I'll take you to the secret spot. What? What? How come I have to close my eyes? Because it's a secret, said Ivy. Duh! Bean couldn't argue with that. Ivy looked like a wimp, but she didn't talk like one. Bean closed her eyes. She felt Ivy take her by the elbow, and together they went down some steps. A door opened. More steps. Cool, damp air blew in Bean's face. Then they went up some stairs. Another door opened. They were outside again. Ivy was taking Bean through some tall grass. Shh, said Bean suddenly. Bean froze. Crouch down, said Ivy. Bean crouched. There was silence. Okay, you can get up now. What happened? Asked Bean. Spies, said Ivy. Bean figured Ivy was probably making that up. Now you can open your eyes, said Ivy. They had arrived at Ivy's safe spot, and Bean knew she would be perfectly safe there. Maybe, after all, this Ivy was not such a boring girl. In fact, Bean soon finds out that there's more to Ivy than just an ordinary girl. In fact, she's a witch. Ivy tells her that her aunt gave her a special book of magic spells, and that is when Bean hatches the perfect plan to seek revenge on her sister Nancy. If you would like to find out if Bean can get revenge on her sister, and if Ivy and Bean actually end up becoming good friends, well, then I suggest you borrow from me Ivy and Bean. It's in our classroom library, and you can check it out. And if you like this book, you're in luck, because it is a whole series. And right now, there are 10 Ivy and Bean books already out there for you to read, and hopefully more on the way. So find your cozy spot, get your eyes in the book, and relax and cuddle up. Thanks, boys and girls. Have a great read.